Hey everybody, it's me, Tanisha O, and welcome to Tea with Tanisha O. So today I have a very special guest, Nia.
Hello, thank you.
You're, thanks for coming. So Nia and I have been friends for a long, long time.
Correct.
We actually transitioned together with blending families, and so she's going to share her journey as we discuss adjustments during blending families, right?
Yes.
So how long have you been married, and how long did you date your husband?
Okay. I've been married now for 5 years. My husband and I dated for 4 years.
Okay.
Together we have 5 children.
Yes.
Um,
Great
which
kids.
yes, they're all of age now. But when we first got together, However, when we first got together, they were in middle school.
Mm.
So we didn't start out with babies and infants. We didn't have those. Um, Trials and different ups and downs with child care and pampers. They were of age, which made it good for us when we came together, but there was some adjustments that we
Of
needed
course,
to do.
because you had teenagers,
Yes.
and parenting and blending a family with teenagers can be an even larger obstacle than changing diapers. Might have
That is
been
correct.
easier to deal with daycare than dealing with teenagers,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
5 of them
Yes.
at that.
Yes.
Yes. So let's talk, and then we'll brag on how great they're doing now, because
Of
they're doing an
course.
amazing job now.
Yes,
So,
sir.
what were some of the things? What were some of the things that you feel? It's my girl. Just be you. What were some of the things that you felt were like top on the list for adjustment? What were some of the things?
Well, together we have 2 boys and 3 girls.
Okay.
My oldest daughter, she was, I'm sorry, let me say this. My husband raised 2 of his children
As a single dad.
as a single father.
Okay.
And our oldest daughter, was used to being, I would say, more of the woman of the house.
Mm-hmm.
She was in the role of being a big sister,
Mm-hmm.
as well as making decisions that maybe she probably should not have had to do at
Mhm.
such a young age. But no fault of my husband.
No, she was doing what
She
she
thought-
Yeah, she jumped in.
Of course, so she jumped in. So when I came into the picture, actually everything was wonderful. Our youngest son gravitated to him. Everything was perfect. We just had small challenges when we came to living under one household.
Right. And
Um,
what do you think caused that? So when you say your youngest son, you don't use the word step so much
No,
when you
we
refer
do
to
not.
children. So same as our house.
We do not.
A lot of the things that we have in common. So her youngest son is the son that she brought into their marriage.
Correct.
And so what you're saying is he gravitated very well to your husband.
Exactly.
They got along really, really well.
Very well.
Which is good.
Yes.
That's a huge thing.
Yes, especially by me being a single mother,
Right.
and raising him on my own.
Right.
And then coming into what my husband has as a no nonsense, no tolerance,
Which we love about him.
militant. I'm sorry. So there were adjustments with our youngest son, as I stated, coming into being a single mom in our home versus coming into a new home, which was a newer home with different rules and regulations.
So do you think that part of it is the children? I know for our children, part of the adjustment was having a mom and a dad under the same roof.
Mm-hmm. That is
Because your husband's children, they were used to just him,
Mm-hmm.
and your son was used to just you, and now it becomes this beautiful family unit where it's now us
Correct.
and we are one, and
Yep.
it's no longer his way and her way, it's our way.
Correct.
So creating the rules of engagement and how your family unit was going to operate. So let's talk through how those things worked.
Well, they worked through, like I said, some of our children had to learn the hard way. I do recall an incident with our oldest daughter. There was some, it was tough. With our youngest son, there was an incident I will never forget. That was tough, where my husband had to give by example, or show by example what we do now versus how it was when we were under my single home.
Gotcha.
However, I can say that through these tests that were minor, the blessing is that there was no disrespect.
That's big.
There was no talk back. There was simply an adjustment.
Right.
Of course, our children are human, so by nature, they would get in their feelings because things didn't go accordingly to what they thought how it should have been,
Right.
or how it should, or how it was. So there was an adjustment of emotion there, but never was there an incident where there was disrespect, talk back, slamming doors, yelling, loud, cursing,
So
nothing
part
of
of
the sort.
that though falls under parenting, in my opinion.
Okay.
It means that you had already set rules as to how respect should be given to adults,
Correct.
as did your husband. So coming in, them not doing those things, those were things that were already established in them, where you had already established the guidelines. Because I'm assuming that you and your husband were still on the same page with how children should respect adults.
That is correct. Some things just don't change.
Right.
Even in time.
Exactly. So part of that is just basic home training,
Yes.
as far as I'm concerned. So do you have a specific story or an incident that you're willing to share of one of the things and how those obstacles, how you were able to overcome it?
I can take our youngest son. There was an incident one day where I had specifically asked him to do something, which I've done in the past, at the new house or at the old house. And this particular day, he didn't move right away. He heard me though. I know he heard
They
me.
do hear us.
Yes, he did look and he heard me, so I know.
He acknowledged your
He
voice.
acknowledged my voice and he heard what I said, but he took his time doing it. I then repeated it for the second time. He heard me, but he chose to move slow this day. He wasn't sick or anything, but at the same time, because I tried to maybe justify, sometimes
He wasn't
we do
feeling
that.
well.
Maybe he wasn't feeling well,
Right.
However, my husband was there, and he heard the first time and the second time, and then there was no third time.
Right.
Because my husband made it very clear, when your mother tells you to do something, there should not be a third time. First time, you move.
Right.
Well, my son wasn't used to that. So my husband had to show him that maybe the hard way. There was no physical
Right.
violence. But there was a sternness in my husband's voice.
Very clear.
He stood up in his visual where my son knew that my husband meant business.
Right.
And from that moment on, when either of us tell my son to do something,
Right, he respects that.
respects it and he moves. Not because he's fearful, but because he knows that's what he's supposed to do.
No, I know they have a great loving relationship. So I know
Extremely.
that there is no question in that. But I found even in our home with Dame and my husband, there is a different, Dame is older than Ike, obviously.
Of course.
And so there is a different level of respect when there is a man in the home. But when that, and I love what you said, and you've consistently said this, leading by example.
Yes.
When our husbands lead by example and they are the man of the home and they speak and they're showing how you should treat a woman and how you should treat their mother, when they're shown this, when young men are shown this, they get to see it and then live it. Because they know, and in their mind they're not thinking, why do you want me to respect her when you don't even respect her?
Exactly.
You see,
Exactly.
it could have been a different situation if
could have been.
your husband ignored you most times and didn't acknowledge you or respect you, and now you're speaking and the expectation is for you to be heard.
Exactly.
But your husband was able to step in, and I love that.
Yes.
And I'm really glad that you clarified, because everyone, they may not understand behind the scenes, but he made his presence known and
Yes, he
understood
did.
what he
Yes,
was
he
saying,
did.
and I love that.
Yes,
So
he did.
that's great. That's a beautiful thing. What are some of the other things that you tapped into along this journey?
I would say when it came to parenting, my husband and I parent differently. although we both, although we both have rules, I would say that I'm more of the nurturer. I'm more of the laid back. I'm more of the, okay, well, I know he's going to do it. My husband, on the other hand, is, like I said, more firm. One time only. And I'm not going to explain why. If you're just going to do it.
I'm laughing just because I know him, and so it just
Yes. And so that was a challenge for us coming together because we parents single. My mother raised my brother and I. There was no father in our home.
And your husband?
My husband, his mother was a stay-at-home mom, and his father was the provider. So my husband grew up with a two-parent household, mom doing everything, where my mother worked.
And was a single mom.
And was a single mom raising my brother and I. And my brother and I, we turned out perfect.
You are.
Okay, we're not perfect.
You're
but
good. You guys are doing good. You're a beautiful
Yes.
family.
Right. So what I have learned from my mother, as well as my own understanding as an adult, I raised my son to be the young man that he is.
He's a great.
Thank
I
you.
love him so much.
Thank you. So I would say with us, it was. And sometimes today we still do have minor challenges, even though we've been married for 5 years when it comes to parenting. But for the most part, we're on the same page. We're on the same accord. We just parent it differently when it came to raising our children. And that was an adjustment that more so I had to adjust to more so than my husband, I would say.
What do you feel was the largest adjustment in that? If there's anything you'd like to share.
I would say the largest adjustment, by example, was not really discipline because they're of age, but
at the time they weren't.
Yeah,
He
at
was
the
in
time.
middle school. He was younger.
Right. So I would say maybe discipline. For example, I can recall a story where my son did not clean his room. I don't know if it's a boy thing or whatever, but Juwan, clean your room. Okay, it's clean. Clearly, it's not.
Everybody's interpretation of clean is different.
Yes. Well, he thought he had cleaned it. Well, my husband was by day 2 was done. So what he decided.
Oh, day 2.
Day 2, not a week, not 3 days.
But day 2 is a long time.
My husband went in and he removed the cable box.
Yes.
Until you clean your room properly.
Yes.
So with me, I probably would have waited till Friday instead of Tuesday. So
basically, he was a little too impatient removing the cable box, and you were like, "It's a week."
A week is fair in my book. A week is fair. 24 hours is all you get. So,
did you understand why you did it though? I love the story.
No, I did not.
Okay.
And that's why I say it was more an adjustment for me because I think 2 days, 48 hours was just not fair.
Right. Do you still feel that way today?
No, I don't.
I just wanted to see, have you been delivered?
I have. Thank you, Lord. Amen. I have.
So talk me through, because there may be some people watching who are there right now. You've tapped into a couple very important things. People don't realize when you're growing up in a single family household, as did I, and my husband, like you, grew up with 2 of his parents.
Correct.
Very different dynamics of what's happening in our roles and our household. So how did you get to the place you are now from where you were?
I found that it was more of a tension on our marriage to battle, what I think is not fair versus fair. And when I sat back and looked at the bigger picture, I realized that every battle does not need to be. You do not need to battle every single.
Speak on it.
It's not that serious. And I also realized that my husband is not the man who would steer our children wrong. So
that's huge.
I had to really say, okay, Nia, in the end, what is this going to do? It's going to do more good than harm. So I had to, like my girlfriend always says, I quote, remove the emotion.
I That's one of my
end
favorites.
quote.
Yeah.
And look at the bigger picture.
So true.
And at the end of the day, it's just about letting go,
Mm.
because I know my husband is not going to steer any of our children wrong. If that was the case, I would not have married him.
I love that. Because that's one of the things as women, we marry men, and then women are upset with the decisions that they made. But
Correct.
that's the man you chose.
Yes.
So for me, it was really big, and you and I have had these conversations. It was so important for us. Sidebar, we were friends before
Yes.
we were married,
Correct.
before we even met our husbands.
Correct.
And we used the art of visualization, creating our
Correct.
vision boards literally at the same time
Yep.
to meet our husbands. And this is a true story.
It is.
We did our vision boards together. We read The Secret, and we literally met our husbands. Was it like 6 days apart?
If that.
Literally 6 days apart.
That's correct.
No, like, that's amazing, the story, right?
Yes.
We meet our husbands 6 days apart, and we literally got married within months of one another.
Yep, that's
So
true.
it's just, it's amazing, the art of visualization. So we did take this journey together.
Yes, we did.
And so that's amazing. That's actually really, really awesome. But so part of it was making sure, because both of us had sons. I had a
Yes.
daughter as well, but making sure the men that we married were people that we would love for our sons to emulate after.
That's
We would be okay with having our sons' wives come to us to say thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for raising such a wonderful man.
Yeah.
You know, I was able to go to my husband's mother to say thank you for this wonderful man that you've given me. He's quite a blessing. So, ladies, these are things that we're looking for. So, when we're protecting our children,
Yep.
what are we
Yep.
protecting them from? Is the question. You know, like sometimes we're protecting them from getting their feelings hurt, and in your case, and I'm guilty also, you know, you're protecting them from, he can't watch cable,
Right.
not considering that most kids in the world don't even have a TV in their room,
Yep.
let alone a cable box, and it's not, you know. So I love that you came to that conclusion. That's
Yes.
like really, really powerful
Yep.
and a great one. So what else you got, my friend?
Patience.
Woo!
We both.
Oh, let's talk about patience. I literally
Patience is a
just
tough one.
tattooed that on my arm as a very good reminder.
Yes. Patience was tough for me. My husband is more reserved, you know, very patient, extremely
He's
patient.
so laid back. I love his.
It drives me insane.
I love his demeanor. Oh, I love the dynamic
Very
between the two of you guys.
patient. The oil and water on the patience just don't.
I know. You
But-
know I'm guilty.
Yes.
I think that's both of us with our husbands. They look at
Yes.
us like, what is wrong with these ladies?
Lord Jesus. But I will have to say, I'm not as bad as I used to be.
No, we're growing up.
I'm not as bad as I used to be, but patience, it was an adjustment for us. More so for me with my husband, because there are decisions that I would have made years ago versus having to wait and be patient.
What's what's one of the things that you can reflect upon today that you were patient with, and you're now seeing the benefit of that? Like, what do you have one thing that comes to mind, something that you are like, we need to do it now?
Yes, relocating.
Oh, yes,
Relocating.
yes.
I have wanted to relocate since my son was a freshman in high school.
Oh,
My goal was he was in the 8th going to the 9th. And I had just met my husband around that time. But prior to that, my whole goal was to relocate after he graduated high school, and I saw that he was off to college. I'm still here.
and he's graduating college in a month, less than a month.
Yes, actually next month. And I'm still here
Yes.
in the DMV.
You are. You are.
So, patient, I think I won.
Oh, you definitely did. But what do you feel you benefited from waiting patiently?
We have a relationship. We're still here parenting our children. Our second daughter resides with us at our home. We're closer to our son who's away at college.
Right.
Because my whole goal was to relocate to the South Carolina, you
Right.
know, So we're still here. We're still a part of their lives.
But all the kids are here, aren't they?
All of them are here.
Yeah.
But, had we left then, the distance between us, who knows how it would have been.
Right.
However, I'm able to see, accomplishments firsthand
Yeah.
with our children being here.
Right.
So I would say that is a huge accomplishment with not relocating at the time that I wanted to relocate.
Do you think that by you staying also, especially the time that you wanted to move, was early on in your relationship? By you staying all these years later, the bond with you and all of the children bonding together, because they still get to come, even if they're home for the holidays or they're in the house or visiting or whatever, they get to build that sibling bond is stronger because they were under the same roof and in the same home.
That's
versus
correct.
if you were in South Carolina and they were still here and it was kind of a visit here, visit
Exactly.
there. Yeah,
Exactly.
you think so?
Definitely.
So that was a good thing.
Yes. And that was major.
And you did it.
Yes.
You may have been not so happy about it, but you're smiling today.
I am.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah, you never know the light at the end of the tunnel until you're there.
That's so true.
And so, now that our children are really adults, well, getting to that point where, maybe now my husband and I can think about it
A little
bit more.
A little stronger.
A little stronger. Yes.
So what other things? Is there anything else on your mind?
I would say budgeting.
Oh my goodness,
was an
yes.
adjustment for us. Like I said, from my home where I was, my bills and my finances were my bills and my finances. Whereas when we came together, that was different. I will honestly say, for me, I had to really. That was a nerve for me.
I can hear it in your breathing.
That was
You're
more my nerve.
practicing your breathing.
Yes. Yes, because what I had then to what we came to here, totally different.
Yes.
Quadrupled different.
Yes.
I was used to electric bill $30, water bill every 3 months, no more than $70.
Right.
That was huge.
You had a couple more people in the house.
Yes, more people. For example, my son and I, we went to work into school into D.C. From Charles County. So there was no one home throughout the day. There was no radio, no TV. We had
Everything
a
was
dog.
off.
Everything
Yes.
was off. Well, my daughter's moving into PG County to the house that we have today. Well, they get out of school at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, so they come in the house, TV's on, cooking, lights. So I went from an electric bill in Charles County, just the two of us, to electric bill here in PG, and I don't understand why the numbers are
Was there a big difference?
extremely big difference. And
I take it that was your bill to pay?
Yes.
Like,
no, exactly, that was my bill.
I was trying to get to that. Okay, she's very,
Yes.
as you see, she's very emotional about this bill. So
Yes.
clearly that was her houushold
It was.
responsibility. So
It
it was on
is.
her mind a little stronger.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, so you know what my husband does? It cracks us all up.
Mm.
He literally, when the BGE bill comes, the bills that come and they actually show you a comparison of your neighbor's bill and
Exactly.
yours. My husband calculates that, and so he goes to everybody. There may be a mass text that goes out to the family. Those family
Right,
mass
cut
texts.
the light, yes.
Yes, there's a mass text that goes out, or if
need
you're
you to
home,
cut
he's
all
going to
the
take
lights
this
out.
document to everyone to show them that our electricity usage has gone up 5% in the past month or 20%. But you know what? We're joking about it because it's funny, but at the same time, it teaches children to learn to respect
That's right.
utilities, respect energy, and to just know that it costs money. And there's no
Definitely.
need for us to be wasteful. Why are we lighting up a room that we're not in?
Exactly.
And so even though it's funny and you and I always make fun and kind of laugh at them for that, I do appreciate those little things, because
Indeed.
when that bill comes, I'm like, you guys, the bill just came, Dad is coming, with the reminder of
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might want to cut that off.
now.
Now.
It's coming.
Yes.
I'm like, why is the air? Turn the air off.
Yes.
It's hot.
Open the window.
Yeah.
If you get cold, put on a jacket.
Exactly.
Open the window.
Yes. Open the window when it's hot. You're cold. You need to layer up.
That's right.
Layer up.
That's
In the
right.
house, layer up.
That's right.
Sitting there with the bomber jacket on, watching TV.
Yep. With
Seeing
a
your
onesie
breath.
on.
You see your breath go.
But that electric bill ain't gonna be high.
No, electric bill is low. We might be at the doctor's office, but electric bill is low.
That's right.
So
you live
that's
and you learn.
so budgeting. Have you guys gotten through that
Yes,
now?
we have.
Good.
Thank God. But that was an adjustment. The Lord was
How
with
did you
us.
get? Yes, the Lord definitely was with us. Definitely was with me with all my nonsense. So, what did you do to get beyond that?
Well, what I did was since I was responsible for it, and I got tired of feeling frustrated every month and being upset and high blood pressure rising. I just decided to just cut shit. I'm sorry. I just decided to cut stuff off. I'm sorry, audience.
fine.
Please forgive.
You'll be
If I
fine.
saw the light on, I just
Cut
unplugged
it
it.
off.
I
Good.
did not
Oh no,
turn
you
it off.
You unplugged it from the wall.
Gotta go. So I unplugged it. So that tells me if you want the light, you're going to have to go and plug it into the wall, because I'm tired of this bill being high.
How did that work out?
It worked out.
They understood.
They understood, because they had to put in energy to plug it back up. The same energy I had to put in to unplug it, because I was
What
tired of
did
the
your
bill.
husband say?
He just walks down the hall.
I know. I knew you were
My
going to say
husband
that.
just
He
walks
just-
down the hall.
He has the best demeanor. I love him so much. I really appreciate him. Well,
Yes. So
what advice would you give to families who are watching, who are working through these different phases and stages? And you know what? You guys may find that we laugh a lot, because you really do have to find peace. In order to find that peace and harmony, you have to laugh at some of the
Yeah.
things and just let
You
go.
do. You can't
For
be
me,
uptight for everything.
oh my gosh, I know.
Mhm.
For me, part of what helped me in my journey in transitioning is having a friend, one who was going through the same thing, and we just kind of bounced things off of each other.
Yes.
Like, should I be upset?
No.
Exactly.
No.
Or, yeah, that one, that was a little bit ridiculous. You
understand
want to
why
put your
you
foot
was
down.
upset.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you have that person who has that balance, but finding somebody who's like-minded is huge. Not the
Yes.
person who's just always negative
Yes.
or always overly unrealistic.
Exactly.
You want a balanced person, so we all find that person. So what would you share as closing words to people who are working through adjustments, blending their families, or going through various adversities?
I would say pray, if that's what you do, or to your faith, whoever that may be, to find strength to get what you need to get through. I would say patience is definitely a good one.
Absolutely.
And I would say communication is definitely one that you want to put in your psyche.
Absolutely.
You have to communicate.
Absolutely.
Having a blended family sometimes is not easy. I was blessed to not have what I do know are serious situations. I have friends who have blended families and who have these teenage young men, like ours was when we came together, who their stepfather would tell them something, and you're not my father, you don't tell me what to do, who are you, so what, you married my mother, I don't have nothing to do. I mean, there are some families
Right.
out there who really go through serious
They do.
problems, and we were blessed not to have that. So I would just say be patient, communicate, and pray.
I agree.
Those three.
I agree. So, in closing, one of the things that you may have noticed as a consistent theme as Nia spoke, and even as I've shared over the time in my videos, the one thing that you've said the most is you were always looking inward.
Yes.
You didn't hear her speaking of what her husband needed to do to change, what her children needed to do to change. These are inward changes that we make. In the way we show up, we're able to project what we need outwardly.
That's correct.
So that is a consistent theme. So families, be encouraged. Even if you are at the place in your life where you have that defiant stepchild or the sabotaging ex, things can get better. They definitely
Yes.
can get better. And if so, I'm here. I'm a coach, and I'm totally 100% committing to coaching stepmothers, especially in order to guide you and support you through your journey. So from our family to yours, we love you. Nia T,
Yes.
thank you for joining us.
My
We
pleasure.
appreciate you.
Of course.
And
my
we will
pleasure.
talk to you guys soon. Ciao.